The 2020 NFL Draft saw 3 quarterbacks being taken in the top 6 picks. These quarterbacks: Joe Burrow, selected first overall to the Cincinnati Bengals; Tua Tagovailoa, selected 5th overall to the Miami Dolphins; and Justin Herbert, selected 6th overall to the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, there's debate all the time: who's good, who's the best. That's what we're going to talk about today. Who is the best of these three? Who's going to be the best? Who's the best right now? And who our favorites are. Let's take a look. If I were to tell you only one of these quarterbacks has a career record over 500, who do you think it is? It's Tua Tagovailoa. At Tua's career, he is 9-7 as a starter. Justin Herbert is 12-14 as a starter, and Joe Burrow is 9-11-1 as a starter. He's the only one of these three guys with a tie. He was number one pick. Burrow and Tua have seen significant injuries so far in their career. Justin Herbert has actually been benefited by injuries. Tyrod Taylor's injury last year that led to his first start, and since then, he's been the guy in Los Angeles. He's been pretty good. And a lot of people think he's the best one of them so far. Statistically, he is, but I don't want to get too into stats. The only stats I want to show you is the record. All I really care about from my quarterback is if they're winning games. Winning games is the most important thing in the NFL. Everyone's trying to win a Super Bowl. If you throw in for 4,000 yards, 5,000 yards a season, that's really cool, but are you winning games? A lot of guys put up numbers. Derek Carr is a big example. He's leading the NFL in yards this season, but his team's not leading the NFL in wins, and to me, that's far more important. And a quarterback's a guy that has a big outcome on if your team wins or not, so that's something that I look to a lot. All three of these guys had success in college. Joe Burrow had the most success winning Heisman, but Tua was also a national champion at Alabama, and Justin Herbert played in some prime games, won the Pac-12 a couple times, and saw a lot of success at Oregon as well. All of these guys were all relatively high prospects. I believe Burrow was the lowest of the three, and Herbert was second, and Tua was really the only 5-star. Burrow transferred where Herbert just fought his way up at Oregon, and Tua battled out Jalen Hurts and ended up taking over, as we all know, in that national championship game, leading to a huge win over Georgia for him. Tua's by far had the most injuries, although Burrow's injury happens to be more significant in the NFL, where Tua's more significant injury happened in college. We all know Tua with his hip surgery potentially lost him the number 1 overall draft slot, so he was projected to go a little bit higher. He went 5th, so still pretty high. But Burrow really just took over that year, and I don't think Tua, if he played healthy, could have matched it, as we saw that Alabama lost to LSU anyway. So which of these three guys is the best? In my opinion, this is the really cool part about this debate, is you can make the argument for all three guys. They all have different styles of play, and all could potentially be doing better than they currently are if they were in a different situation. I think the fits of the guys is just really ideal. The Chargers have people think Herbert is the best because of his counting stats, and that fits well in LA. LA is a city where you kind of have to be a star. You have to have the star attention to succeed there. It just doesn't work if you're under the radar guy. You can't really be underrated playing in LA, and Herbert fits that. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, he's got his teammate Jamar Chase helping him out. I'm sure he had some input on that draft selection. And he's from Ohio. He went to Ohio State. That's his area. He's a hometown kid. Fits great there. And then Tua in Miami. Miami just needs kind of someone to manage games. Tua's doing that so far. That's why he has the best record. He's accurate, makes moves, and Miami wanted Tua before his injury, before they went on the win streak. When Miami is projected to be the worst team in the league that year, before they had any wins, they wanted Tua, and then when Tua got hurt, they started winning, so it all worked out in their favor. It worked out the way you thought it was going to before the injuries and before the Dolphins started winning, so it really worked out in the end, and it was exactly what you would have projected, but you just wouldn't have expected it to be at pick 5. You'd have expected it to be at pick 1 or 2. So, who is the best of these three? A lot of people like to say Herbert is, and they have every reason to say so. He's been good so far, but Herbert by far is the best team around him. Chargers have a solid defense. It hasn't been that good this year, but Derwin James and the Bosa, they've been good. You can't argue that. They have a good defense. We got talented players on offense as well. Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. These are guys that are pretty good. They're not scrubs at all, and they've stayed a little bit healthier than the Bengals or the Dolphins have, for the other guys' arguments. People that you look next to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's been pretty good, made some nice plays. His team's doing pretty good this year. Struggled a little bit last year, had the injury, had some games where he looked great, had some games where he didn't look good at all. Then you go to Tua. Tua's probably received the most criticism, mainly to do with the Dolphins wanting Deshaun Watson. Why would they want Deshaun Watson? They just drafted quarterback 5th overall. Well, they must not be pleased with how he's played, but I feel like that's changing. Just made a video talking about how Tua's been doing good, and he should stay the Dolphins quarterback. And this is my answer. I think Tua is the best of these three. He's just been good this year, and I think Tua is the only one where if he was put in the other two situations, he would do better. If you move them all around, I think Joe Burrow would do decent in Miami, not as good as Tua has, and I don't think Justin Herbert would work at all in Miami. Just the way the year's been, the way the Dolphins play, I don't think it'd work. If you put Tua in L.A. in Justin Herbert's situation, I think he would do better, equally as good, if not better than Justin Herbert. I'd say he'd probably do a little bit better just because of his accuracy and because he's not always looking for a big play. Herbert strikes to me as a big play guy, and that's what works in L.A. And Tua in Cincinnati would be a kind of similar fit to Miami. Those Tua and Burrow play a lot closer than Tua and Herbert would, or even Burrow and Herbert in that matter. But I just think the way Tua's handled it in Miami, like a big thing people don't realize is Tua gets like a couple first downs on a drive they don't score, and that's able to flip the field and set up your defense. Herbert and Burrow are guys that they'll miss a first down and first and 10, they'll throw for 15 instead of taking an easy 3. That's where Tua would take the 3, get you a couple first downs where these guys would miss a big play, and then you screw the drive over and you get a 3 and out. As we saw last year, Tua and Herbert played each other. Tua won this matchup. It was a pretty good game, and this was at the beginning of Tua's starts, probably before he was ready. I'd say he's ready now. His jumps this season has been really impressive. It's almost like he made a jump over the time he was injured, because post-injury Tua has been so much better than pre-injury Tua. That's why I think he's the better quarterback. A lot of you guys commented saying you didn't like my take on Tua before, but I never said I don't think he's a good quarterback. I just don't know how much better he's going to get. I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think he's the best of these 3. But he's just doing exactly what we expected from him, and it's been great to see. I think of the other guys, I think Burrow and Herbert are really close. I give Tua the slight edge for what I've mentioned, and Burrow and Herbert, I think I got to give it to Burrow just because of the situation he's in. I think Herbert is looking like the best with counting stats and media attention because he's in the best situation. And I think that they're struggling and they're probably going to miss the playoffs because they face a little bit of adversity, and Herbert can't handle it. He kind of showed us at Oregon a little bit just by not being able to make the college football playoff. Oregon has not the hardest route. All you really have to do is not get upset by a Pac-12 team, and they really haven't done that besides the 1 year with Marcus Mariota. They always seem to get upset for some game this year, losing to Stanford. Herbert, they lost games before. It just kind of shows that that's not going to win you a championship. You got to be perfect. The NFL, you gotta win the playoff tournament. That's what it is. It's similar to March Madness. It's single loss, you're done. There's no series, there's no second chances. You can't lose a game and bounce back. You lose a game, that's your season. Herbert doesn't seem to have that edge and ability to do that, especially in a tough decision like facing Kansas City, even Denver, LA, Las Vegas. They've been good enough this year, good competition. I like the situations of Tua and Burrow a little bit better. I like Tua's a little bit better. And I like the way Tua's played, and I believe he is the best of these 3 guys. So, there you have it. My opinion, remember, just my opinion, I think Tua Tagovailoa is the best quarterback from the 2020 NFL draft class. Jalen Hurts is not in this conversation.